So, people will need to be double jabbed to enter nightclubs and other unspecified so far crowded venues from the end of September. The government announced that yesterday. Currently, these venues are only encouraged to ask people to show proof of a vaccination or a negative test or immunity. Currently, the nighttime industry is reacting with anger. It says the decision is an absolute shambles.
So is it wrong to force clubbers to be doubly jabbed? Joining us now is political commentator Dominic Samuels, who says it's unethical to bar young people from venues on the basis of their medical status, and journalist Benjamin Butterworth, who was at Heaven on Sunday night, the nightclub, and he thinks this will be a real motivation to encourage young people to take the vaccine. Good morning to both of you. Benjamin, have you recovered from Sunday night? We saw the scenes from a lot of the nightclubs and the countdown, the jubilation. That's actually some shots from Heaven. An excitable night down there, as I'm sure it always is, but it hasn't been for such a long time. How was it for you?
Do you know, it was pretty amazing. It was called sort of a New Year's Eve night that we didn't have in 2020. And the atmosphere was incredible. There were so many young people that have compromised a lot in the last year and a half that were delighted to be able to get out. And I'd been double jabbed and done a negative test before I went and was delighted to be able to have fun and make new friends and see old friends. It was a pretty special time. And I know it meant a lot, not only to the people that went out partying, but to lots of the staff that need nightclubs to remain open because it's how they pay their bills.
Was there expectations for any of the revellers who went in that night to produce a negative test of some sort to show that they had done a lateral flow before they could go in, or could anybody just go in and enjoy themselves?
So everyone was asked to take a lateral flow test that was negative beforehand. It wasn't a requirement in order to get in the sense that they were forcefully stopping people from getting in. And actually, I think at this stage that would be a very good idea, but the government hasn't required that in its rules. But it was something that everyone was encouraged to do, and it's certainly something that I did Sunday afternoon before I headed out.
And were you concerned at all? I mean, you know, Ruth Davidson interestingly described it yesterday on the show, the nightclubs, as a COVID soup. And when we can see all of those young people having a fantastic time on top of each other, dancing and singing and enjoying the music and the heat and the sweat, were you concerned at any stage that there could be somebody with COVID in this space and we could be spreading COVID amongst us all?
Do you know, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. It's kind of an inevitable concern at the moment. And I think other people there were concerned about it, which is why I thought it was important to take my responsibility. You know, I'm lucky enough to have had both of my jabs. The second one was 3 weeks ago on Sunday. So I knew that I'd maximised my own immunity to go there and also to get the negative test. Some people actually were in the nightclub wearing face masks. There I am having a wonderful time. Some people wore face masks when they were walking around. I dare say in a nightclub, I'm not sure a face mask really will make much of a difference, but people did make their own decisions about how they dealt with it while they were in there and having good fun.
OK, Dominic Samuels, we want people to carry on enjoying nightclubs, want people to have the experience that Benjamin and his friends had on Sunday night. We want people to be safe or safer. What's your issue with people having to be double jabbed in order to enjoy that?
Firstly, Benjamin, you need to come off it, because for you to be in a club surrounded by other people with no protection in terms of a mask or anything like that, no social distancing, you clearly didn't care that much. So to then advocate that other people should be restricted from coming in when you were happily fine to congregate with people that hadn't necessarily had their vaccines, I think it's hilarious. And in terms of the actual vaccine,
I think everyone else should do what I've done.
Passports, you have to look at this in the context of the facts that we have so far. So a parliamentary committee on vaccine passports found that there was no scientific case for vaccine passports, and most importantly, that they were disproportionately discriminatory on the basis of race, socio-economic class, and sex. So they're discriminatory. And this is echoed by professors, medical professors in Israel who trialled these vaccine passports and found that they actually incensed young people to reject the vaccine out of protest. And they also said that it went against basic medical ethics to exercise vaccine passports. So it's been tried and tested. And even in relation to the pilot events that the government did, there were 50,000 people that were involved in those pilot events, and 28 cases were found. 28 people had been found to be tested positive who had delivered their tests back. So there really is no basis for these vaccine passports.
OK, Dominic, just on one particular point. We know that the vaccine, once you're doubly vaccinated, it reduces your chance of getting the virus, doesn't eliminate it, reduces your chance of transmitting it, and it reduces your chance of experiencing severe disease, being hospitalised, and reduces your chance of dying. So when you say all the evidence is against, I mean, you know, there is a purpose to this vaccine. And my original point was it makes you safer. So why not try and make these environments safer?
All right, yeah, well, we can talk about protecting you from infection because currently, according to the Zoe app done by King's College, there was a study done by King's College London, unvaccinated cases amongst people that have had double or one jab, it's actually set to surpass the unvaccinated. And this is echoed by medical professors in Israel who said that vaccine passports didn't make sense on that basis. Yes, it cuts transmission, but we can see from the data that we have so far that it obviously doesn't completely. I mean, the health secretary is isolating. What it does is protect you from serious illness or death. And we know...
You want people in the environment like a nightclub where there is no social distancing, there is alcohol, and you're more at risk. Why wouldn't you want those people to have the level of protection that the vaccines provide?
All right, so two things, right? As I've just said, it doesn't stop you from catching or passing it on, as we know from the data, the evidence that we have, and we know that it's designed to stop you,
doesn't it?
Seriously ill or die. And we know that because young people have pre-immunity, because young people are less likely to become seriously ill from the disease, vaccine passports in nightclubs make no sense. And all of the evidence on vaccine passports specifically, even a parliamentary report, say that. And I mean, you guys love to talk about race. Are you going to address the fact that it disproportionately discriminates on the basis of race, vaccine passports? Or is that just...
OK, no, Dominique, you know, we're perfectly happy to have that conversation, but how does... What was the explanation for that?
The explanation, when you look at the statistics, who is less likely to be vaccinated? It's black people in comparison to white people. Poorer people are less likely to be vaccinated, which is why the parliamentary committee mentioned those two things. So what you would be doing is discriminating against people on the basis of their race and on the basis of their socio-economic class.
Isn't the answer to that to encourage people who are less likely to have the vaccine to have it, rather than saying that that's an argument against vaccine passports, people to go into nightclubs?
You talk about encouragement. This isn't encouragement. This is forcing people to get vaccinated. No. And the liberty of non-vaccination has been a legal principle in this country since 1898. Okay, so this is about forcing people.
Benjamin, I'm sure you want to come back on some of those points that Dominique's made.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's complete nonsense to claim that vaccine passports mean that you're being forced to get the vaccine. Everyone has a choice. We have choices in all parts of our lives every day, but choices have consequences. And if you're not willing to take the step that is scientifically proven to make yourself safer and those around you safer by getting your free 2 doses of the vaccine, then you are making a choice that has a consequence that you can't do some other things. And I think it's fair enough that the government has said they'll wait till September, because that's when everyone aged 18 and over will have had the chance of their second dose. So people that refuse to get that, for me, those people are selfish, they're dangerous, and I dare say they're a bit stupid, because I can't understand why you would turn down your vaccine, and I don't think that they should be able to lead their lives as normal when they're putting other people at risk. And the other point I'd add is that nightclubs and other venues, festivals, theatres, bars that are busy, they've all had to close for much of the last 16 months because of this pandemic. These businesses need us to get back and be safe so that we don't have more outbreaks and more people going to hospital, and that's why everyone should get the vaccine. And I think it's shocking that you wouldn't argue that.
OK, Dominique?
But Benjamin, you've not really come back on any of my points with any facts, if I'm being quite honest with you. Israel says it's a bad idea. A parliamentary committee said it's a bad idea.
It's just introduced a green pass, though, Dominique, haven't they?
Even on the basis, Wireless Festival, for example, Wireless Festival said you can show you're vaccinated, proof of a negative test, or pre-immunity. I'd understand that more, but isn't saying that. It's no longer saying that a negative test, as you actually said, is sufficient, because you would agree with that. It said that you have to get vaccinated or young people are barred from public life. That is
forcing. And Dominic, you must accept, Dominic, when you talk about people that haven't been vaccinated,
You're arguing
You must
facts.
accept, Dominique, you must accept that this will encourage young people to get vaccinated, because there are slightly higher hesitancy rates because some of them think it's not worth it. Now, we need this herd immunity. We need people to take responsibility for each other in the interests of society. And if this pushes some people our age, Dominique, to get vaccinated, then I say that's a damn good thing.
Dominique?
I mean, just on a basis of fact, you know, that's not what the vaccine was designed to do, because we know that vaccinated cases of COVID are set to surpass unvaccinated cases of COVID. And you can look that up. The information is there. I've not pulled it out of my backside. So this idea that you barring people from all of a sudden stop COVID is ridiculous. The parliamentary report says this, and also the pilot events where 28 positive cases were found out of 50,000 people also speaks to that. Nightclub owners don't want it. It's only authoritarian people like Benjamin who seem to clamour for more government control. And as a young person, I find it bizarre.
Nightclub owners, some of them do want it.
I'm not sure you've ever been described as authoritarian before, Benjamin, but there we go. Dominique, Benjamin, we do have to leave it there. It is a debate that is raging. But of course, Patrick Vallance yesterday clarified that 60% of hospitalisations are currently amongst those who are unvaccinated.
Yes. And as Professor Sridhar said, the other 40% doesn't mean that they are the doubly vaccinated or the vaccinated either, but those 60% are unvaccinated that are in hospital right now.